Welcome, viewer, wherever you are. It's yet another time, another moment that we are meeting here to discuss matters politics. As usual, and as I always tell you, this is a moment that you should also sit down, sit back, and then listen to what is going to be happening. Today, we will be delving deep into what would be the possible scenarios about the end of Jubilee. The end of Jubilee in the instance that the renegade elements in Jubilee who've now openly formed the UDA will be let to go at a time that Jubilee will be holding its National Executive Council meeting that is supposed to be done by the end of this month. Therefore, will it open other floodgates for people like Oka to join in? Will it be now a very clear blueprint and a very clear print that now we have two horse races, William Ruto versus Raila Odinga? And then where is the state machinery in this? Uhuru succession now will now take a more clearer tangent of operation than it's never been with this particular action. This is what we want to discuss. We want to look at the prospects. We want to look at the repercussions of this decision that is going to be done by Jubilee administration. Very interesting times indeed. A party that has been in power for 10 years is now disintegrating officially. It's just about to disintegrate officially. And it's a very interesting moment in our political development as a people. Again, it begs very many questions about our political parties. And I want to get into this with my regular panelist here, Odhiambo Makowiti, who is with me right here. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Once again, I'm privileged,
Yeah.
Nick, to be with you.
Yes.
And with our audience to look at the political formations and the future of Kenya politically.
Definitely.
Yes, I'm happy and I'm good. I've had the perspective that you are bringing in, and it's very interesting. It's good to look at.
It's good to look at.
Very, very importantly. So because the sad story that comes out of it is the last point that you've made. The big question about our political parties. Will we forever have stable political parties that have got a philosophy like it happens in other developed countries? You see, like in America, you have the
Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, the Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
In fact, in UK, you have the Conservatives
and the Labour Party.
Yes, others are very small. But you realize that the two are always dominant, and always you can predict that if Democrats don't have the power, then
the Labour Party has the power. Yeah.
In America, if the Democrats don't have it, then the Republicans have it.
Yeah.
So it's still a sad story. We will forever remain infants when it comes to the growth and maturity of our political parties.
Does it also point to the fact that our politics is becoming even more vibrant? It could be a sign of a very vibrant political environment that Kenya is currently in.
I don't think Kenya is in a vibrant political environment. We are in a vibrant personal-based politics. When the people who antagonize politically are vibrant, then the politics is very vibrant.
Yeah.
But that not to say that we don't have soft politicians who always talk about issues, who always agitate towards a better economy, a better social environment. They are there. But Kenyans are dramatists. They like that drama around the individuals. And that's how we always lose the political manifesto, the economic manifesto, for which the political parties would have been built around. It is personal-based politics.
Well, personal-based politics, as he says it, and indeed, it's true. Right now, everybody's coalescing around either Raila Odinga or Ruto in this country. And it appears it's now taking shape. It's going to be a two-horse race. However, we have Oka that is also a third force that still hasn't given itself that needed force that is expected. However, let's now get into the discussion. Jubilee is meant to officially now kick out William Ruto and his brigade out of Jubilee Party, meaning that they want to cleanse the party out of people they think are supposed to be now antagonizing the party from within. With this, it opens, therefore, a possibility of ODM and Jubilee getting into a pre-election coalition. I don't know who else is expected in. However, it would be so interesting to see how an opposition party, which is ODM, becomes a partner in a coalition with a ruling party, which is Jubilee, in a pre-election arrangement.
I still don't know whether we should be talking about the political parties being partners. Okay, I think we should talk about the individuals who manage and run these parties with their followers, just changing alignments.
But of course, but of course, officially, one has been in the opposition and is supposed to be, checkmating the system, and the system that they now want to go and join. And then, interestingly, the people who've been in the system are now bolting out to become the opposition. I mean, it's just an interesting.
It's a sad story.
Yeah.
Because then it makes Kenyan politics very unpredictable.
Very unpredictable.
Yes, and I would want to bring and paraphrase what. Senior Counsel James Sarengo has always said, that when you are in the government, you would always really think that you have it all, you know it all, and you nurture a lot of dictatorial tendencies, not knowing when they'll turn and, fight against
Begin eating you now.
Yes. When people are fighting against the rerun of 2017, when the elections had been bungled, I think it was Moses Kuria who told the government to buy more tear gases to be used against the people who are protesting against the electoral injustices. Right now, Moses Kuria is out. Actually, they are among the renegades who are supposed to be kicked out of Jubilee. Officially. Well, but don't forget that what is going to happen in Jubilee, like cleansing it, is more or less what happened in KANU when the Rainbow Alliance was formed. When Raila Amolo Odinga, George Saitoti, Kalonzo Musyoka all bolted out of KANU. When Uhuru Kenyatta was mentioned as the candidate to...
The preferred presidential candidate by the then President Moi.
Yes. So what is happening is not new. But the only danger I see, except in a different scenario, is that when people bolt out, they always gather a higher momentum around the people that bolt out.
Yeah.
But the charisma of Raila Amolo Odinga always means that if he's the one who bolts out, he carries with him the momentum and has always delivered victories, much as these victories have always been stolen. I don't know whether Ruto, who is bolting out, will carry the same one. But the scenario is different because the state agency, right, they call it...
the system.
The system is gravitating towards the enigma. Raila Amolo Odinga. And I don't really think if Raila is given a fair, square election to contend with any opponent and bringing back OCA members, that is Mudavadi, Kalonzo, Wetangula, and they are going to come back by the way. I don't see any of them joining.
How would they be coming back? KANU recently launched the presidential candidate, who is Gideon Moi. Just this week, Moses Wetangula was endorsed by Ford Kenya to also become the flag bearer of Ford Kenya. We are waiting to see what ANC does and Wiper in this this scenario. But then, when you say they will come,
let me just follow up on that. Yeah, launching or endorsing your party leader to be the flag bearer means that you consolidate your support behind him. It's not that they're going to be candidates. They are consolidating their support behind their party leaders. It therefore means if the party leader chooses a particular direction, they go with those supports. It's not scattering anyone. So let's not be swayed, and let's not even panic that when Gideon Moi announces that he's going to be the flag bearer of KANU, he's going to contest for the presidency. No. But when he says now KANU is supporting Raila Amolo Odinga, Gideon and all the KANU members and supporters are going to vote for Raila Amolo Odinga. The same applies for Kalonzo, Wetangula, and Mudavadi. And you see,
so you tend to mean that what they are doing right now is a mere PR exercise that is just supposed to make them look like real party leaders.
yes, plus consolidating their bases.
Yeah.
And again, that's a scenario where we are going to have NASA back together, plus addition of KANU, because KANU was supporting JUBILEE
then, yeah.
in the last election. And NASA won 2017. So a scenario where NASA has not lost anyone and brings in KANU, chances that Ruto wins the presidency is almost zero.
Why?
NASA won on its own.
Yeah.
Now add more KANU. Add KANU into it.
But KANU didn't, KANU didn't have any significant numbers in that election.
Plus the system.
Or now maybe the system.
Exactly. Plus the system.
Yeah.
So we are going to see if by any chance, like JUBILEE is planning, once they kick out all the renegades, once they cleanse and have a peaceful JUBILEE, they have a memorandum of engagement with ODM and approach that election as one. By the way, it's not even an interesting scenario. It's a very skewed scenario towards the new alliance of ODM and JUBILEE, because it is NASA together, KANU joining, and JUBILEE, because JUBILEE is not zero. Not everybody has gone with William Ruto.
Yeah, not everybody has
Exactly. How do you see that? You know, people are still making noise and looking at the crowds. But if you look at the mathematics, there's an outright winner between Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto.
So it's a thorough consolidation of political strategy here that would bring NASA, as it were then, JUBILEE and the system.
Yes, and KANU.
And KANU here.
Yes.
So it's like the mammoth neck that swept power from KANU into somewhere, sometimes in 2002 maybe, something like that. Yeah.
What's going to make it more interesting is people always know how to align themselves with a winning candidate. And you see that Raila has not gathered the momentum for 2022. But wait.
Why you say so?
Raila has not announced his candidate.
It's being rumored somewhere that by 9th of December next year, he shall be doing it officially.
And do you know what that means? He will not call a press
conference.
Yes, and announce that he's a candidate. Raila might, from what I know, what he does, I'm not consulting for him. He might call a mammoth rally at Uhuru Park. Bigger than anything else that has been seen in this country. Supported by KANU, by JUBILEE, by OKA guys, to announce that he's the candidate. And the people, the country will go wild.
Then it will change the formation.
It will change the formation, it will change the political temperature, it will change the alignment, and everybody will be joining. Actually, it will clear it will undo everything that Ruto has done. It's going to be a terrible thing. But I really think this is the right time for Raila to be the president of this country. Because one, he is someone who is looking into a legacy. One. Then he is talking about the unity of this country. Sorry. Secondly, where his age is, he is an old man, full of wisdom and experiences of suffering. And he has the experience of running a government because he was with Kibaki when the momentum to change this country started, the economic momentum. There are a lot of things that they were doing together. Then he has got government functionaries. Such a person against a very angry opponent, inciting, abusive,
And young.
And young, a very hot blood. Of course, with a lot of history of bad names and all that, of course, they look like allegations. But when it comes to politics, perception is always very important. I foresee, and I don't want people to take this for complacency. Anybody who is on the side of Raila Amolo Odinga must come out and vote so that he becomes a legitimate leader, and vote him. You also saw they just ended voter mobilization. Rift Valley topped.
Oh, well,
Yes.
that's given, but still, again,
No.
it was so dismal. If you ask me, from what we gather in our newsrooms, that is the worst ever run that IBC has recorded in terms of voter registration. Not even that is the worst. It's even the most worst prepared program that IBC has run in this country ever since IBC was formulated. And again, do you think Rift Valley having won by that limited number, does it make any sense in
Yes,
these elections?
it makes sense in this perspective. Of course, Nick, even if we compete, all of us here in 100 meters, and the fastest clock 30 seconds. Of course, we know no one, even the race of all the disabled bodies, some of them do 15, 20. In our race, where the fastest has clocked 30 seconds, he's still a winner.
Still a winner.
Yeah. My point is, chances that IBC did not record a very good mobilization. Of course, we discussed some of the reasons why.
In our last sitting.
In our last sitting, we saw some of the things that could have prompted that. But that also is an indication of a voter turnout. To go and vote, they are more eager to push their leader. That one should be taken very seriously.
Yeah.
There is early signals that the voter turnout in Rift Valley will be very high
Than any other place.
than any other place. There's a warning to all the areas that support Raila Amolo Odinga to take that hint, that in their numbers, yes, they registered the lowest addition, but those with the votes should ensure that they have the highest voter turnout to make Raila Odinga a legitimate president.
Well, let's get back to the discussion where we are looking at the possible scenarios. Now, once the renegades are kicked out of this political party called Jubilee,
Yes.
and then now they go and foment around William Ruto, you said that it's got a tendency of making people start to have the sympathy aspect of this happening, like it happened during the Rainbow Alliance time and any other time. Now, do you see UDA getting bolstered? Are you looking at UDA as gonna be having any impetus going forward, looking at the formation of now the official kick out that you guys can now go your way, you can have it, let's meet at the ballot? Do you think Eden Duale, Moses Kuria, the renegades in this have the pedigree to actually cause any political seismic movement? I mean, is there any?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because even Moses Kuria is not supporting the deputy president blindly. There are rumors on the corridors that the deputy president has settled on Rigathi Gachagua as his running mate.
Rigathi from Nyeri.
Yes. Moses Kuria has declared his stand that the spokesperson from the mountain who should be the running mate is Martha Karua. I don't know, but there's a lot of consultations that go on. One thing that's coming out very clearly is that the running mate is going to come from the mountain. But chances are very clear.
But
whoever chooses the running mate from the mountain might also redefine the direction
But to somebody like William Ruto, it's going to be very counterproductive if you pick somebody from the mountain and then again that old tired narrative of Kikuyu Kalenjin leadership of this country in the next 10 years will still be on. You see, it attracts a lot of fatigue and apathy. There is that general feeling that, well, this thing has become, a two-community thing, and let's leave it for them.
Yes.
So
and that plays into the hands of Raila Amolo Odinga again.
I think that's the worst decision William Ruto could be making.
If he chooses from the mountain.
From the mountain.
If he doesn't choose from the mountain, then and Raila chooses number 2 from the mountain, that gives him another easy ride.
So
so
both of them have to choose from the mountain.
They have no choice, because look at the vote basket. Of course, they have, 8 million votes, but assuming...
Is it 8 million? Is it 8 million votes that Uhuru Kenyatta got in the last elections, or 8 million votes registered?
Registered. The mountain has got votes.
Really?
Yes, they have got votes.
Uhuru Kenyatta won by 8 million, meaning that there are guys even who are not from the mountain, even from Nyanza, who voted that 8 million.
No, the point is they did not turn out 100%. Voter turnout is always...
And this time it would even be lower, because they have a candidate.
Exactly, that's my point. But talk about 3 million votes from the mountain.
3 million votes?
Yes. Talk about 40% of 8 million, the voter turnout. Give it the lowest at 40%. That still comes out to be 3 million or 3.2 million. To
begin with?
Yes. To begin with. Take that to the NASA vote basket, and you get my scenario very clearly. And remove that from the Ruto basket, and then tell me who are the coalition partners for William Ruto.
But then, don't you see then Raila also is burdened here? There are bases that traditionally have always supported Raila, like the Coast region, the Western region, the Ukambani region. These are guys who for the last 10 years have solidly remained behind Raila Odinga in total faith that he is going to be delivering them the presidency. And they've done it almost to a man. Don't you think it would be some betrayal of sorts if Raila decided to pick somebody from outside these regions?
It is true, but even these guys have deserted him. They are coming back because they have no choice. So that gives Raila a very easy hand to play around with this choice. He said, you formed Oka, you went on the ground, you declared to stand, nobody followed you. Actually, everybody followed William Ruto and myself. So that is his bag, and I think this is how God works miracles for Raila this time round. He did not carry the burden. Some of them even declared that they are stupid if they will support Raila for the 3rd time. That's Kalonzo Musyoka. He will be a fool to support him the 3rd time. So Raila has got no business choosing him.
Kalonzo still insists he's on this ballot this time round.
Wait and see.
Kalonzo insists.
Wait until Raila launches.
So is Mudavadi.
Yes. But you see, they've been in rallies. Mudavadi has been in a rally together with Wetangula, together with Gideon Moi. But Gideon Moi has always been there because he's a member of Oka. But behind Gideon Moi, the SG of the party, Nick Salat, has always said Raila is the one who is ready for the presidency. Raila has always sent Gideon Moi's signals beyond the Oka meetings. So Gideon Moi is not in Oka because he's supporting any of them, but he's consolidating for Raila. If there is any member of Oka who will declare support for Raila first,
it's Gideon.
It's Gideon Moi and Kanu. So, and Gideon, and you've heard, Raila speaks very clearly that even as he goes into this election, he still talks about BBI, who is on halftime. Reggae is on halftime. And he can still float
the BBI
agenda in the coalition, and says the moment we take the leadership, we would still reintroduce BBI and take it to the people. So your positions are there, but just frozen. Give me the presidency. Let's work towards taking the BBI with the right message to the people. Let it be approved. Then you can take your rightful positions.
Well, before we get to the break, do you think it's a prudent idea for Jubilee Party to, this time, at this particular moment, kick out the renegades? Isn't it important that they sit down and then reorganize this house? Is it too late to salvage Jubilee that we know originally since 2013. Is it prudent that they're doing it right now?
You know, Jubilee has served its purpose. It was supposed to do a 10-year term for the presidency. Ile yangu 10 yako 10 haiko.
Ile kumi ingine imepotelea wapi?
Hiyo sasa hakuna Jubilee ya kuimplement hiyo 10 ingine. Yeah. It was declared under the banner of Jubilee.
Yeah.
Hiyo Jubilee sasa hakuna.
It's no longer there.
Mushatoka. Hii Jubilee imebaki ni ya kuform a coalition with ODM.
So the timing is perfect.
The timing is perfect. I think the advisors that are behind what the President Uhuru Kenyatta is doing and what Raila Amolo Odinga are doing are good political advisors, and they are very sober. Yeah, so the coming months are going to be very interesting politically, and they're also going to sum up our political direction. But I think if you look at all these dynamics, a lot of things favor Raila Amolo Odinga.
Well, since the advent of political parties, we've never seen, other than President Moi, who endorsed Uhuru Kenyatta for the first time. Kibaki never endorsed anybody, though he prepared ground for Uhuru Kenyatta. This time around, you're looking at a president who is in power, is just about to retire, getting into a coalition with an opposition party and hoping to prop them up as possible successor. Very interesting. We are going to the break, and when we come back, we'll be delving into that. Just what is in Uhuru Kenyatta's mind right now as a retiring president who is supposed to now just usher in an opposition candidate or an opposition setup that is supposed to take over from him, and is working tirelessly to ensure that it happens. Very crazy political developments in this country. However, it's politics. Don't go away. We are going for a short break. Welcome, viewer. If you're joining right away, we are now on the second segment of this session, the Cardinal Talk Show. This show comes to you every Sunday night at a time like this. Today, we decided to have it under this very nice environment here. The garden is cool, and it's a very convenient place to discuss very cogent ideas like you're bringing up, Mr. Makowit. With me is my regular panelist here, who is also a senior journalist in this country, Mr. Makowit. Most of you know him. If you don't know him, get to know him. And I know right now he's also a lecturer at TUK, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, which is right. And is trying to look into this with a very deep eye, just what it is. I was asking him before we went to the break, just what is in Uhuru Kenyatta's mind right now as a president who is about to retire and propping up an opposition outfit to succeed him other than his deputy. Well, we know all the bad blood that has been there with his deputy. However, it's very interesting. What lessons would be learned in the political classes in the years to come, political science classes? What lessons are going to be learned here? Very interesting.
I think you have to give credit to Uhuru Kenyatta.
Credit?
Yeah, for having worked for 10 years with William Ruto as his deputy. It is not an easy thing.
William is a difficult deputy.
William is a terrible deputy.
Is it difficult or terrible?
Okay, he has got a very big personality.
Ego.
Ego plus. Remember when he was in ODM and Raila Amolo Odinga was their party leader. And when there was the slot for the deputy prime minister's position, he demanded for it. Raila felt there's no way he would leave Mudavadi aside and give it to William Ruto. But William Ruto cited the votes that he brought in from Rift Valley. But Raila, pushed him aside. Raila has always been a leader that brings all on board. And that was one of the major sticking points that brought about the separation between Ruto and Raila. So you can imagine if that type of personality under the new dispensation of the new constitution goes and mobilize votes for you and hold a legitimate office where you can't kick him away. And you cannot do anything without his approval. He has made the work of Uhuru Kenyatta very difficult for the last 10 years. So, and if you look at the Uhuru Kenyatta that assumed the president, normally it happens in America. When a president enters the White House, the picture is taken. There's a shot that is taken. And then 8 years later when he exits, another shot is taken. And then you compare the two photos. And normally they age very fast when they're in the White House because of the stress. Nobody did for Uhuru when he was entering. I wish they did. And then they also need to do when he's coming out. Uhuru is so old. It's like he has lived 20 years of his life cycle. The stress of dealing with national issues and the stress of dealing with this deputy. So
now are you
my
also,
point is,
are you also making the deputy a problem that he had to deal with in his dispensation?
Yes. And I know because at one point I was in the inside.
Yeah,
of that Jubilee.
Yeah, you're once a Jubilee member,
yes.
and a director of
William Samoei Ruto, correct. William Samoei Ruto is a difficult leader because he has got a charisma. He's very well articulate. If he's articulating the truth, he will come out very clearly. And he's also a very good propagandist. You know, you will not go about telling people that my deputy is a propagandist. But you must have a mechanism of dealing with him and managing him as your deputy, as you also manage other national issues, which is also not giving you support to do.
So now dealing with Ruto and the national issues have now left Uhuru even more jaded as a person. He looks weary and tired. He wants to exit like today.
Yes. So to tie this with your thought,
yeah.
When did a sitting government endorse an opposition? Sometimes I think Uhuru has not achieved his full legacy. What he was out to do, he is not fully satisfied that he's achieved it. And he still wants to live this dream through somebody else.
So we would be seeing a continuity of Uhuru presidency or legacy long after he's left office.
Yes, through Raila Amolo Odinga. But we have a very sharp deputy who has also said that the
Big Four agenda.
the Big Four is going to be part of
Yes, plan.
the wheelbarrows. Yeah, he knows that this is what the president plans to do, and he says he's going to fit in the shoes of his president because that was his boss, and they were doing these things together. A very sticky point, but I think Uhuru Kenyatta.
Now let me cut you short.
Yeah.
At what point then is a deputy expected to play his role? And then you're not seen like you are trying to overshadow or outshine your boss. I mean, how a deputy is supposed to behave, because we don't have any standard measure of behavior for a deputy president. What Ruto has given perhaps might not be so good, but then to what extent must they be? Must they be complete apologists and loyalists to their bosses, or how must they be?
But why can't we just take the examples world over? Where do you hear a deputy shouting left, right in their countries? I don't know whether we should blame the kind of constitution that we passed in 2010. And see, one of the proposals that Jubilee was having as they planned the coalition with the ODM is to clip the powers of the deputy. That can also signal to you the kind of challenge they went through with the deputy. And even Raila Amolo Odinga might have the same problem
with the coming
deputy. If they have so much powers and they cannot control themselves as deputies.
I mean, a deputy doesn't have any powers. All the powers, he's just supposed to get, his powers are drawn from the presidency just on delegated functions. And delegated by the president.
No, if you appoint. But if you are elected on the same ticket, then there's a problem. Because they can disobey you And
But
we will do nothing to him.
The
So we would
constitution on the executive terms spells out that the deputy president shall discharge duties delegated by the president, and he will be the principal number 2 for the president.
The constitution talks about the presidency. That's why even the budget, when it is done in parliament, the budget is allocated to the presidency, not the office of the president and the office of the deputy.
Oh, of course.
Yes. So it is the office of the president that must also factor their budget out to the deputy. It's the presidency. So you can have a very big problem if you have a deputy who does not have self-control. Where did you hear a renegade deputy president flying out with renegade MPs to another country? It happened just the other day when the plane to Uganda was stopped with another Turkish,
funny guy from Turkey.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's an embarrassment to the presidency. Mm-hmm. It's a stress to the sitting president. Mm-hmm. And we were just seeing it, and he's been doing this over the years. So I think Uhuru Kenyatta, and he took power when he was very young. Mm-hmm. He had to manage himself and manage the environment with his deputy. But I think that stress has eaten him up. So he will not mind continuing his legacy through somebody else. And I think that's why he's very aggressive and very bold in trying to influence the succession. Kibaki was a very different person because you've drawn that parallel. He doesn't care what happens next. He didn't have a lot of burdens. If they agreed to do something, you would do as gentlemen. And if it is bad, deal with it. Him is gone. And he's never participated in any type of politics since he left. But him and Raila Amolo Odinga set a very strong foundation for the economic growth. The only problem with economic growth, it comes with a lot of opportunities that if you don't have sincere leaders, some of them dip their hands into the, into the honey jar and they steal. And I think that's where it's a lot of talk about corruption and all that. We just have dishonest leadership, which they must still tackle even as they plan to develop this country.
Well, in all honesty, Uhuru Kenyatta is leaving and retiring to Gatundu. He said that. But again, you say Uhuru feels is not yet done with what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Who are you blaming for this? Don't say Ruto, because Ruto is just a deputy and he's only one individual in a system that is running.
It's never good to pass blames because government is always continuous. And actually any government that comes in inherits the benefits and the liabilities of the previous regime. All the agreements that were signed in the government of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, if Raila becomes the president, he must take them as his burdens. If they are 25-year agreements, if they are 10-year agreements, you must live with them.
But now, but now, who do we blame?
You can't blame no one. These are people who are elected by Kenyans. If they fail, they all fail collectively. If they win, they all win collectively.
And now,
so if the legacy is not properly delivered to Kenyans, then the person who is culpable is always the president. So he's trying to right the wrong by influencing the succession.
By even doing that, then where does Ruto get the confidence and the courage to speak about another government while this one that he's serving is already failing terribly? What is it?
It's about charisma and turning lemon into lemonade, bitter lemon into a lemonade. He's a good guy. He's very clever. By the way, to earn a PhD in a Kenyan university doesn't mean you have small brains. How you use them also matters a lot. So the collective failure is for both of them, because the first government of 2013-2017 was almost a 50-50 government. You've heard even the people in government talk. When seats were being apportioned, if the minister is appointed by Uhuru Kenyatta's side, then the assistant or the deputy would be appointed from the
Ruto
side. Even in parastatals, if the CEO is appointed by Uhuru Muigai's side, then the deputy is appointed from William Ruto's side. And if you've had a lot of people talk about being a tribalist or what, everybody that William Samoei Ruto recommended for all the positions in government as number 2s or number 1s were from Rift Valley. So if there's any blame or failure, he also contributed 50%.
Then it begs the question, why is he running for presidency?
Because the constitution is silent on it and allows him to.
You've just spoken about the presidency.
Yes.
As a unit.
Yes.
And Uhuru's failures and successes are joined at the hip.
Yes.
With William Ruto.
Yes.
And if the feeling of Kenyans is that these guys have bungled their time,
yeah,
they didn't use it properly,
yeah,
just where does Ruto get this confidence to want to tell Kenyans that now I'll do it differently?
Because the executive signature, that pen belongs to the president alone.
Okay.
So he has got some gray areas that he can capitalize on.
Well,
but that doesn't mean that he would be a good leader. Or that doesn't mean he would be a bad leader. We have seen some deputies, when given positions of leadership, they learn from the failures of their bosses and do
pretty well.
Pretty well. Yeah. So, but I think the constitution would have been more clearer and stated clearly that when you serve the presidency, you retire with your deputy.
But I don't think that would be democratic enough. Right now, Joe Biden was Obama's deputy and is now the president of of USA. So that again would be gagging these guys to enjoy their democratic right. Another thing that perhaps I want to talk about, ODM Jubilee coalition. Just what is it? How would you configure ODM and Jubilee coalition? People who've been antagonizing one another ideologically since 2013. Guys who've never seen eye to eye. In fact, if you read their manifestos, they are way too different. And I know coalitions are entered because of ideological leanings, because during crisis, and perhaps when you must form a government either way, like it happens in Germany. Sometimes it's not even ideologies or even a crisis in a country. Sometimes it's because of the needs at that time that you guys must get into coalition and form a government. Now, what is this that is going to come out between ODM and the remaining side of Jubilee that is not going to bolt out? I mean, what is it?
Maybe they are just going to formalize the coalition. This coalition has always existed since the Jubilee government squabbles became louder. Had it not been for ODM, Uhuru Kenyatta would have not finished his second term. The ODM MPs in parliament and the Jubilee side that is supporting the president, Uhuru Kenyatta would have been perfectly impeached by his own party, and probably if ODM agreed to help them impeach the president. So the president has just appreciated the role played by ODM through the leader, Raila Amolo Odinga. It's a very good gesture, by the way. You know, people don't read so much about what happens. But the truth of the matter is, and Atuli put it very clearly, you'd be very wrong to call Raila Amolo Odinga the project of the government. Actually, the government is the project of Raila Amolo Odinga. He is such an enigma. He is such big.
Put it in a more simple, understandable way. How would the whole government,
be a project of Raila Amolo Odinga?
Just now.
He is the one who has sustained it. I've given it to you. If it was not for Raila Amolo Odinga, and if he was just not a nationalist, he would have helped William Samoei Ruto impeach the president. And the president is the government. So, when the handshake begged for the sustenance of this government, when Raila Amolo Odinga agreed to shake the hand of the president had gone to him and cried, "Nibana, help me I'm out. He said, come brother, I will hold your hand. That is how the government becomes the project of Raila Amolo Odinga. And he has sustained it in parliament. There's no way they could impeach him. The ODM members of parliament would not agree. Raila himself would not agree.
So you tend to want to also give us an understanding that Raila has been so pivotal in the success or the end of this regime than William Ruto.
Yes. And that's why Jubilee is very comfortable doing a coalition with him, because already they've done coalition in parliament. It's the reason why Uhuru Kenyatta has finished his term.
Or else?
They would have impeached him as early as 2018. In fact, the deputy president was very much shocked when he saw these two guys shaking hands.
No, he was informed. By Uhuru's own admission, he informed his deputy.
Nick, you don't know how government functionaries work. He said he informed him. It was up to him to come out and say he was not informed. But those are PR things. I fix you and you agree that I've fixed you. But that if you agree, it also means that we're not working together. So the guy would, and that's why he has always been fighting the handshake and the BBI. But I think that was the turning point. That is how Uhuru Kenyatta has finished the presidency. Raila Amolo Odinga.
So we are going to a handshake coalition this time round that perhaps has carried the rest of the Jubilee administration to its end now.
Yes.
And just like we say, it's it's a composition of very exciting players here. One being in the government, the other one being in the opposition. I think this is the first time in the history of this world that something like this will be happening. I heard President Uhuru Kenyatta recently when he was attending the United Nations session, where he spoke about the handshake politics. In fact, he sold it out to the world as, a concept that is supposed to be tried elsewhere in the world. Where conflict is very dominant, sometimes it's better to try the handshake concept to see if a country would remain stable. So he went there to just showcase what handshake has done. And I think it's something that also shocked the players at the United Nations, just how our government and the opposition work together, and now the country is stable. Something that is so nice. But I'm waiting to see.
Just on your point on thought.
Yeah.
Actually, the American government, the American politicians cited Kenya as a best case scenario on how to resolve politics. And they cited that to Trump. Kenya, Nick, you need to have the luxury of flying out of this country. Go to any part of the world. I've been to these other areas, and the moment you introduce yourself as a Kenyan, people sit back and appreciate you. Kenyans just don't know how people have a lot of respect for any Kenyan outside here. They believe Kenyans are so mature. Kenyans are above self-gain. Kenyans are patriotic because they always see our athletes, how they perform. They always see our politicians, how they sort out their issues here. They always see how Kenyans don't take directions. They elected these guys when they were supposed to go to the ICC. They were told there are consequences, and they told them we don't care about the consequences. And they still navigate with them, and it's a beacon of peace. Right now, Ethiopia is fighting here. Kenyans are telling them to stop the fight. If Somalia has been at war here for almost 3 decades, Kenya is still at peace. It's the reason why Kenya is a perfect example. So when Uhuru went to the UN, he was actually echoing what the UN always appreciates about Kenya. Kenya is held in high regard. And I think this should go to our audience. Praise yourself, value yourself, be more patriotic, but use your vote to cause a change. When Kenyans respect you outside there, don't elect somebody else who cannot deliver on the services down from the grassroots, because we are mature politically. And the reason why this happens is one, Raila Amolo Odinga. He's the only one who has perfected the art of leaning back, sacrificing himself every time. maybe anybody who is supporting him now could also not be supporting him because they like him, but it will be shameful not to support him based on what he has always done for the people of this country and the pride of Africa. It's an example of how Africa can be used to sort out
its own problems.
Kenya is always a perfect case.
So we expect a Mandela moment from the tail end of this year.
Maybe a Mandela moment
might
come with Raila declaring his candidature. That could be a Mandela moment. And I think that crowd, I'm still imagining, I don't know whether he will do it with a press conference, but I'm imagining if I was planning this for him, and it should not be anywhere else apart from Uhuru Park, and it will fail.
Uhuru Park is closed, where construction is on, and it's not available maybe for the next 3 months.
He can even go to Kasarani, to Nyayo, to Kamukunji,
wherever.
All those are his grounds. But what I know, that could be the Mandela moment for this country. And the momentum generated there will be a tsunami. It will collect everybody else and they say, this is the time.
Well, as Kenyans, perhaps we anticipate such a moment, a Mandela moment. Still, the same way, we give every other person opportunity who wants to lead this country to play their own game. When you strap your own strings, it's up to you to bring up the best melody out of it. We, as the voters, will dance to the best tune that we people will hear from your strapping. And that is only possible if your strapping is just peculiar in its own way, because again, Kenyans are tired and they would be treated to something that is now very formal. We want something very peculiar. Kenyans out there are listening and they want to see something that will give them a reboot to start again as a country where they'll feel refreshed, they'll feel that they belong, and they will look at the gains and the value of this country tucked together. I want to say thank you so much for having gotten time to be here, Mr. Makowiti. It's not easy that you find your time to be with us another Sunday again. It's a very, it's an honor, I must say that.
Thank you. It's my sincere apologies because my voice was not very good today.
Yeah, I can hear you, so you've been struggling.
Yeah, I've been struggling, but this was important that we share with our audience. So forgive my coarse voice.
Thank you very much. And you, the viewer, as usual, you always remain a valuable part of this program. And for Lolwe TV, we appreciate you out there wherever you are. And please make a date with us again next week when we'll be doing another session of this Cardinal Talk Show where we talk it the way it's supposed to be. We bring it with its in-depth understanding and analysis. And normally, we'll always set the trend in analyzing and the punditry that is required in a political field. My name is Nico Kelo. Till we meet next week. It's been wonderful having you along. Cheers, and always be patriotic.